Yeah, just feeding today, Kenan, and all this stuff.
Right on, Tom. Guys, in case you can't understand or you might have heard the voice, that's Tom Crutchfield. We're hanging out. He's one of my favorite guys. I love hanging out with him because I get quite a lesson about reptiles. And we're going to talk about some of the animals he's keeping today. And we're also going to hear a little bit about his experience and where he's at right now in, I suppose, the hobby of herpetoculture. So I can't wait to get to it. Stick around. Our animal mission is simple. Education in action. Conservation in action. This is Kamp Kenan.
I'm just separating everything to feed them and just...
Cool. And is this, are you going to start feeding right now?
It's an Arizona black. We are in a minute. I have to kill. We have the mice, but they're alive. I have got to kill them first.
Okay, great kill. Cool.
Yeah.
So we're hanging out with Tom here today, and we're going to be just rolling around with him and seeing some of the new things he's doing. And also, Tom, you know, we started rapping earlier, and I'm noticing, you know, you're downsizing quite a bit. What's happening, man?
Well, what I want is to adhere to the old adage that you may have heard of sometimes, less is more.
Yes, sir.
Really what I want to do is to have fewer animals, but to provide for the animals that I have much better.
Gotcha.
And I can't keep so much stuff to be able to do that, but it's not about how many animals I keep. It's about keeping animals that I really enjoy keeping, or something that maybe really needs to be bred in captivity, or learn how to breed in captivity. And I just feel better for the animals when they have more room. It's not that they wouldn't live. For instance, this Arizona black rattlesnake right here would live in, there's a pair that go in here, the male's not in there now. These would live in a much smaller cage than this 4-foot visiting cage with the rocks and that, and it would do just fine. And you might even breathe into something else. But then again, if somebody locked you in a bathroom and fed and took care of you and gave you medical care, you'd live, woman, and every now and again you'd breathe, and you'd breathe too. But your quality of life would
exactly, and that's the funny thing. I always say this. I'm like, you know, you talk about enrichment. You talk about a turtle can live in a fish tank, but it's not a fish. So you got to give these animals, you know, the proper environment. If you grew up in a closet your whole life, you would grow, but you would not be mentally stimulated.
No.
And
or stable, perhaps.
Exactly. So psychologically, what, you know, and this is all just theories we have, but luckily for us, you know, we do daydream about these, but psychologically, what's going on in the reptilian brain? It needs stimulation.
It actually do. A lot of people think that they're really stupid animals, but in reality, nothing could be further from the truth. They're very, very smart animals. And I'll give you just some little herp tips that I do, and you don't have to do it. A lot of them will eat if you do it, but they feel better if you do this. Do you see all the cage furniture and the bowls in these cages?
I do.
Okay, those are the same bowls and the same cage furniture that they've had all the time. I don't change them out. A lot of people that keep things in quantity will keep those plastic water bowls that fit inside the PVC pipe and throw it away and put a new one in. But if you look very carefully on some of these, you'll see urate stains on the rocks and around, and even on the sides of the water bowl. Let's just walk around and look.
Yeah, definitely. And first off, I know what you're talking about right now. I don't want to kind of sidetrack you, but the room looks great.
Oh, thank you.
It looks really nice.
But they all scent mark these things.
Okay.
And then what you have to realize, it's like you being in a familiar surrounding. Like when you go home to your bedroom, you don't have a new bed every night.
That's right.
You have the same bed, and you sleep good in your bed because it's your bed. So
well, in nature, where these animals are, a food source or a water source is the same source they return to because they know it's there.
Exactly, and they stay in somewhat of the same area. A lot of snakes don't travel great distances in terms of 10 or 20 miles from where they were even born still, depending on the species of snake. The bigger pythons have bigger ranges because it needs more food, obviously, and bigger food. But for the most part, they're ambush predators too. With most snakes, they don't actively hunt food. And so they have to be in areas they're familiar with. Yeah. For instance, these people that rescue snakes. Okay. Did you know that if you take an eastern diamondback rattlesnake and see it crossing I-95 or I-75 or the turnpike or whatever you came down here on, and you go down there to save its life, the best thing you can do is take it right where you caught it, and if it's headed to one side of the road, take that side of the road and let it go right there. If it's a wild wooded area, if it's not, take it down not too far. But if you take that 10 or 20 miles from where you caught it, it's probably going to die. Yeah. Research has shown that. The first paper I read on that was actually written by a guy who got his doctoral at the University of Florida called Walt Timmerman, who's dead now. But he was taking rattlesnakes, putting telemetry devices in them in and around Payne's Prairie in Washington County, And he found out that when he released them in different places, the mortality rate was 100%. And that was the first time that we ever thought about that. This is in the 1970s.
Well, we know that
other studies we know for sure.
We know tortoises and other reptiles are creatures of habit, and so you know that's why putting a road through a habitat or a house in a habitat, it's destructive to those animals. So that makes a lot of sense. You know, reptiles, even though they're creatures of habit, they still use that brain to find the places. They have memory. They remember things.
They understand,
and that's why you know
they learn.
That's right, and that's why you can, you know, I'm sure working with some of these venomous snakes, I know we've talked about king cobras, the intelligence with that animal. Some of these animals really remember certain aspects of their keepers.
The Manx sand viper remembers.
Oh yeah?
That big Manx sand viper really does not believe that human beings are dangerous in any way.
Cool. I love, by the way, I mean, it's always fun coming to Tom's place, but you know, this new mission you're on as far as, you know, less is more. I love the large enclosures. I like to see, you know, so many people don't realize so much of the fun of keeping herps is designing the enclosures, you know, creating it. It's so much fun, and when you make it beautiful and easy, it's just...
And good for the animals.
Right, exactly.
You know, like, look at this cage.
Okay.
Now, I have a gaboon viper in there, fair size.
Oh, look at this.
From a distance, you can't even
see it, man. And that's
tiny cage.
And that animal knows it can't be seen, so it's going to feel more secure.
Exactly.
Right. And so
and that's not nearly a big enough cage, I don't think, for that either. But in all honesty, most of the time it lives with this one. I just have them separated because I believe she's gravid.
Oh, wow.
The big one.
Cool, man. Well, what did you have to do in here while we're in here, man?
Nothing right now, really. I can take you walk around outside and show you where everything is.
Let's do it, man.
Okay.
I know you have some new things you want to show off.
Yeah, a lot of new stuff. Actually, I like this room. I like the animals.
Beautiful animals.
I like all of them. But we've done a lot of work outside, trying to get everything finally completely finished, where every single cage has an individual heat source. Every single cage has an individual water source that can be turned on individually or collectively, you know, to make it easier for us and for the animals.
Yeah, it's been a couple years since we did a Kamp Kenan video here. And here's this turtle pond.
Yeah, this is where we breed most of the really rare snake neck turtles.
Yeah, I know.
And we have other turtles in here too. Now, you know something interesting this year here? Up until this year, we got 90% of all of our eggs in the fall. Okay. We did before the first of the year. We all got most of them in October and November. And by this time, we would already have well over 150 eggs.
Okay.
This year, we got one clutch before the first of the year. And then after Hurricane Irma, we didn't get anything. And then I was thinking maybe Hurricane Irma disrupted stuff, and we weren't going to get eggs. But all of a sudden now, we're getting lots of eggs all the time, just like we always did. So my question is, did Hurricane Irma, is that responsible for the change in the year of that? Or because these animals come from south of the equator and perhaps nest in Indonesia in the fall, and since the adults were all wild caught, were they already cycled into breeding at the time of year they bred in Indonesia, and then they recycled because the weather patterns here
changed?
But it's been 7 or 8 years, and they haven't changed. So see, that's my question.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
So if any of you guys out there that might have a better answer to that, that's a question I have in my mind that I'm still not sure of why they do that. Why they flip times from the fall to the spring to lay eggs.
Okay, let's think.
And this is the next
Comment
box.
below.
And when we go inside, we'll show you babies and eggs.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you remember this, Tom, but you were mentioning something about some snake necks you might have floating around.
Snake necks, yeah.
Yeah?
In the other room.
Oh, very cool.
And we got, of course, big ones in here. This is the box they nest in.
Yeah, that's cool.
And one thing with nesting boxes with turtles, you should always make the nesting area where they actually lay the eggs is at a higher elevation than the water.
Yeah, makes sense, right?
Even though, I mean, they know that. The turtle does. And normally what causes turtles to lay in the water is because the nesting area is at a lower elevation than the water level. A lot of people have put them in a pool and they have to climb out of the pool and lay eggs on the land, which is lower. They're not ever going to lay like that.
Yeah, because what sense does it make? Their babies are going to go away from the water source and rain.
Now I can see right here, see this, what I look for, see we do this every day and check them this time of year. We smooth it over. Now see right here, see how that's been kind of flattened out?
Yep.
Okay, it's possible that there's a nest there. I mean, I don't know for sure, but we got eggs yesterday, actually 2 clutches, I think.
And they also do test nests too.
They do, they dig.
What are you using as far as soil? Just like a potting
soil
sand
mixed with that I forget what that's called. I put cypress mulch too, which is on down at the bottom more.
Because it looks like a really nice consistency.
It is. It holds the form. What you want is something that'll hold the nest form and not too hard to dig. Otherwise you won't like it much.
And you know, I always have a theory with the females. They know by feel and I think smell that there is a humid enough egg laying site, that the soil's good, that they're going to be able, that it's going to maintain that nest shape.
Well, see how the moisture level.
Yeah.
Look when I dig down.
It's
you
perfect.
can see it change. See,
absolutely.
So they can dig down really pretty much whatever level they want. The bottom of the box is right there. See it?
Yep.
Now the bottom of this box we have holes drilled in because when it rains, rain comes in. This would fill up with water and cause this to collapse because of the weight. So we have it where it can never, you know, fill up
and kill the eggs in there.
Kill the eggs, right?
Awesome. That's a really cool box, man.
Eggs.
This is why we like to come visit other reptile specialists so we can learn something. And
find stuff.
You do find turtles.
That's an ornate diamondback terrapin.
Look at that. I'll tell you what,
I've had him for 15
I'm going to dunk
years.
him and you'll see how beautiful he is.
He's a really pretty one.
Look at that. So sometimes they just feel like getting out and kind of excavating a little bit.
Did you know
or just
that Macroclimes, that genus, spends a great deal of its time, even in the wild, buried up on land, not in the water.
I did not know that.
And they do it in captivity too.
There you go. Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but I bet there's papers on it, but I don't know why.
Yeah, these are an animal that live in brackish water, so a lot of estuaries, mangroves, areas like that, from southern Maine all the way through
the Keys
and
to Key West.
Beautiful animal.
They are.
Awesome.
Put them in the water.
Put them back in the water. I like to let turtles get a little breath before they dive. There they go. Man, I'll tell you though, the place is looking good.
Yeah, thanks.
It just becomes, you know, more manageable, and
it does.
You get to enjoy yourself more. Watch your head, Tom.
Yes. And this is just Stacy's pet alligator.
Oh yeah?
Squirt. Which I don't see him. He may be in a rock. You can leave that in there, pushes it around.
Oh!
You know crocodilians, you know, we'll play with balls and stuff.
I didn't know that. Talk to me a little bit about that. We actually had an Ask Kamp Kenan question. Someone was asking me if there was anything they can do for their reptiles to kind of, you know, when they leave the home, that they can make the environment fun. Do they play with toys? And, you know, I thought that was a good question, but I didn't have an immediate answer. My answer was, hey, listen, just make the habitat as enriching as possible, as close to their natural habitat as possible. But I know you now with this, and Emily Maple at the Palm Beach Zoo, she likes to do a lot of enrichment experiments. So talk to me about crocodilians, and here he is over here, crocodilians and some enrichment. You say they play?
He won't do, I don't know if it's play or if it's like they would pretend it's prey, or there may be a biological reason for it.
Okay.
But I know with smaller crocodilians that aren't afraid of people,
right?
Especially if you got a group of them together, but in the case of this one, he does it by himself too.
Okay.
If you throw a ball in or something like this that floats,
right,
they'll swim over to it. Sometimes they push it around, they may bump it, and like throw it up in the air. It's almost like they're playing with it. But whether they are or not, I don't know. Sometimes they'll bite it.
Right.
But they know they can't eat it just when they, I mean.
Maybe they're just practicing. Maybe it's just practice.
I don't know.
You know, who knows?
But I do know that he likes to do it. He won't do it for very long.
Okay.
Just for a few seconds. But you know, why not let him?
Sure. There you go.
If he wants to.
Wow,
I mean, it can't hurt him, so.
Right. Cool.
And here we just have a big pair of alligator snapping turtles.
Oh yeah.
Big male right there, and female right there.
Nice. Very cool.
Godzilla's pretty, I've had him a long time, about 25 years or more.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I love gator snappers, man.
Me too.
Can't get enough of them.
No.
What kind of fish do you have in here?
They're cichlids, and they've been in there for years, and they're kind of self-sustaining. We don't really...
Gotta get some for my pond.
Care if they're there or not, kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd love to get some of these for my pond.
Yeah, well, you can have some, take some with you.
Wow.
They reproduce like crazy.
Hey, I might take you up on that, man. I mean, if I can get
a
them
net.
home.
I mean, and they don't take much oxygen, so.
Cool. I'm gonna get some cichlids. So, you know Solomon, my monkey tail skink, well, Tom's got quite a few, and he's got pretty rad enclosure for these guys. We got a gravid female down here?
We do. Let me look just to make sure. It's hard to see through the
mesh.
line, but I'm pretty sure. that's the gravid one. I mean, I know it's a monkey tail. I'm just not sure if it's one
of course.
the gravid ones.
So this is really cool, man.
Not sure it is, but go ahead and take a picture of that. Where there's a gravid one inside of the hide box.
So you know, you're telling me a little bit about your setup here for these guys. I really love them. They're vegetarians and extremely arboreal. But one of the things that I like that you said that they know to go in and out of the hide box when you have a cold spell.
These do.
That's really an intelligent animal.
They are, but it's more than that too. If it's really, really cold, we still lock them in.
Okay.
Because here's what can happen. Even though in the morning they're going to be locked up in there, if it was going to get below 50 degrees, I would lock them in where they couldn't come out at night at all. Because if it's going to get, let's say 50 degrees by 9 or 10 o'clock and drop in the 40s by morning, they're going to go out and look around because they're heated up and they're going to get too cold to get back in the box. So you can't do that. So you have to look ahead at the animals and you have to plan it. It's not that they wouldn't know to go in the box, they wouldn't be able to go in the box.
Now you've also made the box.
Also drain the water always too in any enclosure.
So it doesn't get
if it's really cold, if the animal can get outside, no. Because if your animal gets in the water at night and the water temperature drops in the low 50s and it's a tropical reptile, it'll drown.
Wild.
It'll drown.
That's right. Can't physically get out of the water.
And it can't stay away.
That's right.
It'll just sink.
That's happened to tortoises and turtles.
Also, that's what happens to the American crocodiles here in Florida when we get a cold spell. When they die off, they drown. When the water temp gets to around 50, they drown.
Crazy.
Because actually the native crocodile here in Florida, Crocodilis acutus, is one of the least cold tolerant of any crocodile. It's extra limited here in Florida.
Right.
Extra limited. I mean, it really reaches the extreme northern end of the range. It's a little bit too cold.
Well, that's a good bit of info for everyone out there. And another good bit of info. Exactly. This is the extreme northern range, as Tom mentioned. It's the threshold to what they can take, and sometimes they can't take it. But something I like that you did and you explained to me, talk to me about the box and why the lizards want to go in the box.
All right, this is a box. One thing they hide in the daytime is a lizard that's pretty much mostly nocturnal. But they're from the Solomon Islands, which is tropical, so you have to provide auxiliary heat if they want it. So this is a heating pad that ZoomEd makes, and it's underneath the box. Now inside of the box, if you notice, I have cork bark. Because the creatures that hide like that are usually creatures that want tactile support. And what I mean by that, they want to feel stuff around them. And that box, if you put a monkey tail skink that big in it, it feels really open in the box without the cork bark.
Gotcha.
But when you put the cork bark in, then it becomes a true sanctuary.
Take a look at that, because this is again, guys,
that one will bite the crap out of you.
Yeah, no worries, man. How beautiful are they? But you can see it's in the box.
How big she is.
Oh my gosh, yes, she's definitely gravid. These guys give birth to live young, but you still call it gravid because they're in an egg, but the egg doesn't have a shell. It's just got an egg membrane, and she carries them along with them. The other cool thing that I love about them is they live in family groups, so this is a what is that? A compatible group. Obviously,
I'm a male and two females.
That's so cool. But
look under the bark. There's another one in there too.
Is there?
Just watch your finger.
I know that.
Is there another one in
there? Yeah, real wedged in the bark.
Yeah. Now put your hand on the bark. I mean, on the bottom of that cage, and feel how warm the substrate is under that.
Yep, that's right. Yeah,
but not hot.
It's not hot. It just, you know, and that's
78 degrees.
You know what's funny, Tom, is I've actually had a mortality
from being that too hot.
Too hot.
Of course. You know why?
Yeah. Heat kills faster than cold.
But why? With a lizard, would that happen? Do you think?
Well, this was actually with a tortoise.
Okay, with tortoise too.
Yeah.
It's because they don't recognize heat coming from below so much as heat, but from above. That's how they thermoregulate. Especially lizards with a parietal eye, they don't even know they're hot.
Look at this, man.
So that's why they get on a hot rock, and that's why you see all the burns from hot rocks.
That's right.
The hot rock feels good, but they don't realize it. But they get on it and they feel warm, so they sit on it until they cook themselves because the parietal eye's not engaged.
Wow.
That's why people use those ceramic bulbs.
Yeah.
They gravitate toward heat. It's not light giving. How do they know?
Exactly. Interesting stuff. All right, we're gonna get out. We're gonna shut this thing right now, and I'll be back. So you've done a lot of improvements over here with the iguanas.
Well, I've just made everything more automatic with automatic waterers, and this is where we keep everything on this side. Pretty much was hatched out last year. Okay. These are just what's left. We hatched a lot more than that. But
wild.
Here's a few albinos.
Good grief. Man, you know, I'm colorblind, but I can see that. Thank goodness.
And here's more albinos.
Wild.
I just have these separated because they're sold. Just waiting to. Gotcha. These are the red albinos, the crimsons, just not big yet.
How long of a project was this for you?
It was about 7 years.
Okay.
6 years, 7 years.
Wild. That's a really beautiful.
Worked out pretty good though.
It did, I'd say.
Because, let me get a nice one up here.
Wild, man.
Pretty hard to beat that.
Good grief, yeah.
And that'll turn solid red. That actually, by next year.
Hey, little one. Look, can you guys see this? I mean, this is incredible. You know, this is definitely a designer iguana. This is a not so common green iguana. Anything but common, really. And they're cute. They got these, when they're young, they got those goofy little eyes, little bug eyes.
And
holy smokes.
And that will grow up to be
no way.
And by next year, that'll look like that. This hatched out in 2016.
Guys, let me tell you something. You know that I don't get excited about morphs usually, right? And the reason being I'm colorblind. But my goodness, look at this incredible animal.
It is that.
That is incredible, my God. What a beauty. Congratulations on that one, Tom.
Yeah.
From this to that.
And another year.
Awesome.
All of them will look like this in there.
Well,
the amount of red on them now doesn't even matter. Every one will turn red.
Well, I'll tell you what, Tom. You've shown us quite a lot in this episode. I say we end it here, okay? And we're gonna have to do another episode with Tom, and you're gonna love it. So stay tuned, because we're not done with Tom, we're just done with this episode. So if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, and you can also go to the Kamp Kenan Army and upload your own habitats. We want to see what you're building and creating for your animals, so go over to the Kamp Kenan Army and hit subscribe, because we're building an army of reptile and animal lovers, and we want to see what you're producing and what you're making. Remember, I want to see the best things you can come up with for your animals, because at the end of the day, if you create something nice for them, you're going to enjoy it too. So thanks, Tom. Thanks for hanging out and showing us how you do things, and we'll be back with more coming up with Tom in a few weeks.